Hi, this is Cable X. Today's date is the 27th of September 2025, and we're talking about the announcement of yesterday of the so-called digital ID by the Prime Minister of Britain, Sir Keir Starmer. As you know, I'm British with my accent, right? So this is a topic that's relevant to me because it's about pushing the ever-expanding surveillance state. I mean, we've already got like CCTV cameras everywhere. You got the push for AI going on in America. Now you got this stupid digital ID going on. Now I was gonna try to find, if I could find a short clip. I don't want to play the whole clip. I'd rather not. Yeah, I'll go with GB News. Not a fan of GB News, but I'd rather just have the video on from there. It is a real short. I don't want to play the whole thing because I got stuff I want to show. 1 second, let me just.
If we want to maintain that binding contract, immigration system does need to be.
Before we start, he's talking about this is required because of the immigration crisis, and we need a solution which is digital ID. But then he says we've got to have it for every single British adult, which includes me. See what this clown, this fake person says.
Fair if we want to maintain that binding contract that our politics is built on. Otherwise, it undermines trust.
Undermines trust. Well, you guys have systematically, for the longest time, ever since politics was first formulated, back in over 200 years ago, we had our first Prime Minister back then. You have systematically undermined trust by design, but we all know, if you're like me, that is, if you guys are listening, we all know it's all a show. You guys are just actors on a whole stage. You make it sound like you care about us, but you're just actors at the end of the day. You're just carrying out an agenda, which is for the benefit of the people.
People's faith that we're on their side, and their belief.
Well, you're not on our side. You're on the side of those that back you. You're on the City of London side. You're on the side of the Vatican. You're on the side of the cabal. You're on the side of MI6. You're on the side of the CIA. I'm on the side of all these different agencies. You're on the side of the Fabian Society, which a lot of you Labour people are from. Even though people get the wrong idea, saying that it's all about a world communism, but it's more like techno-fascism, which is what we're witnessing before our eyes. All these tech companies in alliance. It is not just an alliance. It is a kind of a conglomerate of different interests intertwined into one to carry out these policies that are not going to benefit anyone. I noticed the messages on this video is 1,303. The word government is 133. So just carry on here.
That the state can and will work for them. And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to.
Free of charge mandatory? Yeah. Free of charge, that it means we'd have to pay for it. For those of you who don't know, digital ID is basically, it's going to be on your phone. If you've got like a smartphone or an iPhone, I have to carry it around showing your ID. But I will explain more to it as I continue.
Work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. Because decent, pragmatic, fair-minded people, they want us to tackle the issues that they see around them. And of course, the truth is, we won't solve our problems if we don't also take on the root causes. Our immigration system does need to be.
Yeah, that's enough from that clown over there. And I'm going to do the decode. I was going to get into other stuff. I want to do it now. So we're talking about the digital ID. Okay. So let's go with this screenshot here. Taken from the calculator. Gematria is the practice of coding numbers into words. It goes all the way back to Kabbalah. Excuse me. 6th century BC, the idea the world was created using letters and numbers. So digital ID in reverse caps miss, which is the fastest Bacon cipher. Now you got capital letters and you got like lowercase letters that are mixed here in this cipher. And if I write it like this is what I get: 333, 333. How very Masonic is that, eh? 333. Satanic, if you could say. It's also known as the Brit card. In gematria, Brit card equals 84 in reverse Sumerian, 846. Kind of reminds of when the first tower was hit on 9/11 by a plane. A CGI plane, a ghost plane. There's no plane, by the way, for those you don't know. This digital ID connects to this guy. Look at this wonderful man. He's looking very ghastly right now, isn't he? He looks like Palpatine. Looks like Palpatine, but Palpatine looks human one moment, and then the next minute he looks like a completely different person. Well, completely demonic, satanic. Where is this little demon? This old fart here. So his last time in office, his last day in office was 27th of June 2007, and it's ironically that I'm doing this live stream on the 27th, which is today. The 27th of June 2007 is the last day in office for this guy here. But despite that, this guy seems to be in the scenes. A lot of people are tying him up to being behind this scheme. Well, he is in some ways, even though he's not the main culprit here, but he certainly is influential. This ghastly figure. And now this is a whopper here. If you guys are here, you're gonna enjoy this. From his last day in office, the 27th of June 2007, to the announcement of digital ID and mandatory for all adults in the UK, it's 6,666 days. And I'll repeat that. From Tony Blair's last day in office to the announcement of digital ID for everyone in the UK, which was yesterday, on the 26th of 2025, September 26th, 2025, 6,666 days. 6666. By the way, even if you doubt the calculator, I mean, this tells you that this whole thing is planned by design, because he tried to push it when he was in government, but that back then it's called an ID card scheme, but no one bought into it. No one took any notice, so it was widely ignored. But I always felt that one day they would do it again. And it's kind of interesting that he's talking about the current Prime Minister is talking about how we're going to aim to introduce it for the next Parliament. The next Parliament basically means in 4 or 5 years' time, 2029, 2030. Now, 2030, for those of you who don't know, is tied to the whole Agenda 2030. You know, like the smart cities, the social credit score, and all that. So again, I mean, I've said before a few times, in the end, I want to be less reliant on the calculator and just do date durations, because date durations give you unbelievable numbers. Like, if you get numbers like this every time you do a decode for different dates, you're onto something really hard. I mean, look at this. It's like, I believe I've not seen anyone do this yet, but obviously I could be wrong, but I've not seen anyone do this yet. So again, Tony Blair's last day in office to the announcement of digital ID, 6,666 days. Get that in your head, please, because this is a big deal with what I showed you. Now this sums it up. This is what a lot of people are saying. I have a passport with the number, I have a driver's license number, I have a national insurance number, I have an NHS number. We have more than enough government issued ID. There you go. I mean, everyone was saying, what's the point? You already got our details anyway. Why should we have to have it all in one? I mean, it's not going to be just about right to work. They're going to use it also to right to use the NHS. or the right to even have a bank account. Because that's where it's going to lead to. And that's the inevitable outcome. Now, there is opposition to this. This is from a guy on Twitter. He's a decoder. He says here, United Kingdom digital plan is nothing to do with helping citizens, quite the contrary. Well, there you go. For them to say it will stop the boats is, for anyone with a functioning brain, one of the most pathetic, feeble justifications I ever heard. And this is talk about the immigration crisis. Well, I will bring up something about the whole immigration thing. How it all was by design to deliberately undermine the system anyway, and to create the situation that we're in now, where oh look, there's so many hundreds of thousands of people coming every single year, and immigration getting out of control. We've got to do something. And then he comes up with a digital ID. It's scrying and divination and the occult, another tool to use for spying on you, especially those citizens that the government dislikes. It will be caused to ambush and snare like a Judas Iscariot. Is an unholy Herodian narrative from the Gospel of Luke. If this thing scrying is far-fetched idea, ask yourself, why is Palantir named after crystal balls in the Two Towers, Lord of the Rings? Digital ID, United Kingdom Dominion. Yeah, government believe mandatory digital ID will help stop illegal immigrants. Tony Blair talking about this for years. Yeah, he wanted to do it, but he couldn't. But now he's got his lackey, Sir Keir Starmer, doing it. What this means, you will need a digital ID to access all parts of modern day life, because that's what it's really about. Once fully implemented, the government at will can implement additional features for your ID to remain compliant. For example, mandatory V's, a social credit score, and your own personal carbon footprint tracker. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, they want to, how much carbon you're using up if you're driving, or you're driving, or you got a motorcycle, or electricity. They want to. Again, it's all about technotronic error, and this is good. This has absolutely nothing to do with illegal immigrants, and everything to do with total state control or trafficking of your entire life, leading to a technocratic state. I think that's what the last word is saying. It's got the whole sentence anyway. Now, there's opposition to this. Here's Jeremy Corbyn. He's opposing it, as you can see here. I will firmly oppose. I mean, it's good that these people say they're going to oppose. He says he'll oppose it too, even though it's been projected that he's going to be the next Prime Minister with 311 seats. Isn't it ironic? 311. Backwards is 11-3. The word Bush is 3. The word politics is 11-3. Nisa Nandi, am I able to play this clip? Before I do, let me just quickly go on the immigration thing. I believe the Daily Fail has an article on it. Mass immigration. Mass immigration. Tony Blair, Daily Mail, because they pretty much confirmed what's already been known by researchers. That the whole thing with this whole immigration thing, which people say is out of control, but okay, which one? Okay, sorry about that. I don't want to. I wasn't going to show his picture here. Okay, from Tom Bauer. Yeah, he wrote a book. He wrote for this book. I interviewed dozens of junior and senior officials, permanent secretaries, and all cabinet ministers from the Blair years, as well as successive junior ministers. Bloody well, I want to skip all that. Yeah, Robert Butler, Richard Wilson, Andrew Turnbull. He was never, yeah, Blair was never a suitable guardian of the public trust. Yeah, so I want to get to the main point. Yeah, Jack Straw said he was worried. Isn't immigration still the issue that which will blow up in our face? He asked the Prime Minister. Immigration won't be an issue. Well, they both knew it was going to be an issue. Yeah, it says by the time Tony Blair stepped down, 2 million more migrants than the government expected had settled in Britain. But this any concerns by claiming they were good for the economy. Again, by design, they really wanted to bring as many people as they wanted to. Yeah, he never summoned the ministers to discuss many migrants' apparent preference for living in segregated communities. So when you hear about segregated communities, again, it was all about pursuing a policy that was gonna create division, create problems, because they knew this was going to happen. Instead of like having these people come into the country and have them, you know, integrate properly, they have them live segregated lives. That's why you have in some parts of England where you got like Muslims living in one section or Hindus living in another section. They're all living in their own little bubbles. It was by design. And then you got Sarah Spencer, who influenced the government on immigration after 1997, later admitted later there was no policy for integration. We just believed migrants would integrate. Again, everything I'm reading here might seem a bit wishy-washy or not important, but what I'm trying to highlight is it was all deliberate. They wanted to let people in. Doesn't matter which country it is, whether from an Islamic country or whether it's from Africa or Eastern Europe. They wanted to do this because they knew in the long term it was going to create problems. It was going to become a hot button issue, which is it now. And the wars in the Middle East didn't help either. They just created more refugees, asylum seekers. I mean, there was that 7/7 thing where they failed to arrest preachers who were advocating for violence in the streets of London. So again, they had extremists, so-called extremists, under the watch of British intelligence. Well, there's another reason for that, is because they were assets. These so-called preachers that used to see the news back in the day. It says here more than 350,000 asylum seekers were rapidly converted into economic migrants, complete with work, personal rights to benefits. So people are angry about this as well. Again, this all goes back to Tony Blair from 1997. Not lost control. Well, they didn't lose control. They deliberately wanted to lose control, but actually encouraged it can only be told thanks to a detailed testimony from civil servants. Yeah. I mean, it says here this guy called Bill Jeffrey, who charactered confusing. Jeffrey should. Yeah, Tony Blair was briefed that as a new head of immigration, Bill Jeffrey was confusing. Jeffrey should sharply reduce the number of illegal immigrants and chase bogus students, said Blair. On the other hand, he added, I'm all good for immigration. Jeffrey appeared to be unaware of managed migration, how controls have been relaxed. Yeah, again, all by design. I know I keep saying it, but it is all these things about. Things were okay before 97 because we didn't have this many. By the way, I'm not in any way saying it's bad to have people come in the country. It's all fine, but when you have it done, when you have this kind of immigration system undermined and out of control, it's all by design. Not to create internal strife and conflict, but it's to change the culture, change the cities that otherwise you'll never be able to recognise anymore. I thought it said 3 there, never mind. I'm going to try to find some more stuff here. Okay, this is what I wanted to look for. Conman Blair, cynical conspiracy to deceive the British people and let in 2 million maggots against the rules. Spurgeon new biography lays ex-PM's betrayal. Yeah, this guy, look at this smiling man. Instructed ministers, well, they were just following an agenda to wave 10,000s of asylum seekers into the UK under the cover of being economic migrants. See how they've done this. Astonishingly, the Minister Blair put in charge of borders ruled against deporting failed claimants because it would be too emotional. Again, if you fail to fail asylum seeker or whatever, or failed claimant, they shouldn't keep you in. They should deport you, really. But then again, they didn't want to do that, did they? The aim of allowing millions was to make the country see the benefit of a more multicultural society. Blair didn't see its job to control immigration. Well, there you go, not control it. Yeah, he deceived Blair over the Iraq War, well, we all know that. I mean, look, this is all going on while he was Prime Minister the first term. The rules on allowing foreign spouses and students were dramatically relaxed. So that's why right now they're trying to crack down on it, make it hard, supposedly. At least that's what the previous government was doing. Make it hard, supposedly, but the damage has already been done. I mean, this tied the whole Kalergi plan about changing the nature of society by letting different peoples in, not having them, learn the language or integrate properly. So when I hear people demonize immigrants, just remember they're not the cause of every individual immigrant or whoever comes to the country, wherever nation they're from. They're not the cause. It's these politicians and these all different societies, secret societies, think tanks, that are the ones that are causing these problems. Again, it's all by design. They wanted to wreck the country up to the point where you don't recognise it, you just get angry over it, but you never confront who's really pulling the strings. Look, again, about the whole asylum seekers, they got repackaged to economic migrants to avoid public disquiet. The book says 350,000 asylum seekers benefited this way. In 2002 alone, Tony Blair gave the go-ahead for 150,000 work permits. Most of the recipients include the unskilled who went on to become UK citizens. See what they're doing now. It says here, asylum seekers should be allowed to stay in the UK. Removal takes too long and it's emotional. Yeah. A person in drugs, most likely. Barbara Roche. She changed the rules to allow more work permits to be issued, especially to people who would previously have been considered asylum seekers. It's clear that she wanted more immigrants to come better. She didn't see her job as controlling entry. Again, this is not about keeping it under immigration under control and managed properly like any decent country would. I don't think I'm gonna. I was trying to find something. Okay, yeah, I think I've got enough. So in a nutshell, I had to show that to highlight why the digital ID was rolled out, because of the problems of immigration. It all goes back to Tony Blair. Now they're saying this is why they wanted to have it happen. So in conclusion, let me mention this again before I finish. No, I'm going to finish up now. So from Tony Blair's last day in office, June the 27th, 2007, to the digital ID announcement, September 26, 2025, is 6,666 days. It's just like any other event in history. Like 9/11, what did they do after 9/11? They rolled out the Patriot Act to undermine civil liberties in America. 7/7, they did the same thing. Roll out more anti-terror laws, more legislation. And you got all the thing with the internet as well. They wanted to pay some restrictions. They're already done with the Online Safety Act. All about it's a war on free speech. It's a war on freedom. That's what all it is. To create this controlling society, and China is seen as a
immigration system.
Yeah, whatever. Oh, it's Stormer. Okay, Adam Curtis, China. I just want to play this clip. I was gonna go, but I think I need to play it because that's where I head towards.
No more receipt chaos. Keep your budgets on track with Revolut.
The next party secretary, Xi Jinping. His family, like Boers, had been at the very centre of the frightening forces that Mao Zedong had unleashed. One journalist wrote, "They want to keep that great black box that conceals the struggles and the brutality upon which China has built its staggering economic transformation firmly."
This is dealing with the whole surveillance society thing, and the UN has stated on a number of occasions that China is the model state for everyone to follow. So we're following the model state of the People's Republic of China, otherwise nicknamed Red China.
Closed. And to keep it closed, Xi Jinping decided to turn China into a giant system in which everyone's behaviour could be predicted, managed, and controlled.
现在好几次锁起门呢。对，就是这的。
The aim was to learn from the data how all the individuals linked together in the society, so their behaviour could be predicted, like components in a system.
我们可以追溯到说，出现每一张脸都可以对应说他的身份证，以及他所经过，比方说在过去一周，我们回溯他的行经路程，我们也做了像人和车的匹配，那同时在人上匹配还包括亲属关系匹配，然后是你经常接触人员之间匹配，就是当摄像机布到或者我们传感器布到一定密度的时候，其实我们会经常知道你跟谁经常在一起。
But there was a further aim to adjust the behaviour of people so they would fit better into the system. It was called algorithmic governance. If the data from all the different sources showed a person behaving well, buying the right food for their children, not cheating at computer games, and not jaywalking, then they would be given what were called social credits.
Social credit system.
This would then give them rewards, from discounts on bills to getting better visibility on dating sites, even avoiding the queue to pay to see a doctor.
Alright, that's enough. I won't play too much because I was supposed to finish up, but okay. Yeah, it's explained about if you're a good citizen, your social credit score will be fine. But what it didn't show, if it might have showed if I kind of playing it, but if the opposite happens, this is key. If the opposite happens, if you start to do things that the state doesn't like, your social credit score will be reduced to near zero. So in other words, you got to be a good citizen, people. Otherwise, your social credit score is not going to get you any. Your low social credit score is not going to get your low social credit score is not going to get you anywhere. So this is coming to Britain. This whole social credit score system. Social credit score. Credit. I mean, what is it? A comprehensive data-driven program that monitors the trustworthiness of individuals and businesses to promote social order and loyalty to the state. That's the key thing, loyalty to the state. And they want to bring it in the UK, which is what's been said. There is not yet a single unified nationwide system. It always blacklisted and penalising undesirable actions such as financial dishonesty or spreading negative statements about the government by rewarding model citizens. Well, if you're a good citizen, we'll reward you. But if you're not, you ain't getting nothing, mate. This could result in restrictions on travel, internet, other consequences such as low scores, as I mentioned before, potential more access to loans or utilities for high scores. So if you're a good citizen, you can get a loan. But if you're not, we won't give you a loan, like a bank loan, for example, a mortgage. So this is China's system. But they obviously want to bring it to the UK, of course, as well as the United States, as well as to all the other Western countries. Because who knows, if things go their way, the next 100 years, you're going to find a situation where every country in the world is under this social credit system. We are all being managed by AI, artificial intelligence. Visualizing China's social credit system. Now, I'm not sure this is how it is, but it's just a rough idea. Citizens gain points by donating blood or money, engaging charity work, praising the government on social media, and helping the poor. But citizens lose points by non-visiting one agent place regularly, cheating in online games, since insincere apologies for crimes committed, spreading rumours on the internet. Now that's the most important thing. If you spread rumours, if you spread the truth on the internet in a controlled society like China, and then other countries start to follow suit, you will lose points. Your social credit score will go down the drain. Yeah. You have to be a good citizen, people, otherwise you'll be in trouble. I think the digital ID is leading to that anyway. As I mentioned before. Digital ID is leading to that whole social credit score system. Just like what he said, if you don't behave, Lisa Nani says, if you don't have it, you can't get a job. She was saying it before the official announcement. She said, it might be a problem if you can't get a job. I believe I got a screenshot somewhere. Says we're not gonna go around. She's the culture secretary. We're not planning to go on finding people, but you will have a problem if you want to get a new job. In other words, if you don't have a digital ID, you can't get a job, or try to get a job for that matter. Okay, I think I'll call it for today. Thanks for joining.